Okay, here we are. The fight that not everybody was expecting, but I don't think anybody's complaining about it. It's Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin 3, the trilogy, with Canelo winning the second and the first being a draw. It makes sense that they are having this third fight, this rubber match, and a fight. I'm excited for this fight. The first two fights were fantastic fights, especially to me the second fight. The first fight was more so, it was good, but it was more so Canelo just trying to rope it up Gennady Golovkin and trying to land that big punch. Didn't come in with the right tactics. The second fight was a brilliant fight though. Two men who just stood on a quarter and just went to war, and a brilliant fights. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one goes up. I do think, in terms of my opinion on the two fights, I think the consensus is that Gennady Golovkin won the first fight. Obviously, he got scored a draw, but a lot of people felt like Gennady Golovkin won the first fight. And I agree with this. However, I do think that Canelo came in with the wrong game plan. And to me, it was more of what Canelo didn't do rather than what Golovkin did do. Because to me, Golovkin was just coming forward, pressuring, but wasn't doing anything amazing, really. He was just doing what he normally does. It wasn't like he came with a brilliant game plan. Golovkin, he just did what he did. But with Canelo, I think he just came in wrong with what he was doing. In the second fight, however, I personally had it a draw, and a lot of people had Golovkin winning the fight, but obviously they gave it to Canelo. If I was going to give it a winner, I would still give it to Canelo, to be honest with you. I think he did enough, but I could see how people thought Golovkin would. Golovkin literally, not stormed out the ring, but walked out the ring when the decision was read out. Didn't stay for the interviews or anything. He obviously clearly felt a certain way about it, and that's that. And, this third time, it feels a bit more heated, I think. Canelo obviously talks about how he feels like Golovkin is disrespectful and hasn't done much since their second fight. And if you look at actually since the second fight, so if you go first of all on Canelo Alvarez's record, since Canelo beat Golovkin the second time round, or just beat him in general because he didn't beat him the first time, obviously, since he beat him in their fight, he fought Rocky Fielding, Danny Jacobs, Sergey Kovalev, Callum Smith, Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, and obviously his last fight he lost to Dmitry Bivol. So some really good names on there for Canelo. I think Canelo has done some amazing stuff since that fight, and really, I think has shown that I think he wants to be great. Canelo really wants to challenge himself, and I think he's done a brilliant job of doing that. And then if you look at, and then we look at our his opponent in Gennady Golovkin, since he lost to Canelo, he fought Steve Rolls, he fought Sergey Derevyanchenko, fought Kamil Cesarmeta, Morata, which is a good win, and obviously now he's going to fight Canelo. So you look at it, not really great names for Golovkin, and really hasn't done a lot since that fight. And I think it's fair to say, and as well, at 40 years old, he hasn't got a lot left. So it will be interesting to see what his mindset is, coming into this fight, because I do think for Golovkin, it isn't really I think the best time for him to fight Canelo, but Golovkin's the type of fighter where I don't think age really is all that much of an issue, simply because of how he fights. He isn't reliant on speed. He's powerful, but I don't think that power doesn't look like it's really gone, to be honest with you. It looks very much still there and working. Interestingly enough, this contest will actually be taking place at super middleweight. To my knowledge, I might be wrong, I don't think Golovkin's ever fought it that way. Obviously, Canelo's the world champion at that weight, has all the belts pretty much, has IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO. And it would be interesting if back in the day, if you remember when Andre Ward was at super middleweight, that was a fight that was touted between him and Golovkin because they were both on HBO, and there was a lot of history there, and it would have been a monster fight because at that time Golovkin was this scary guy who nobody wanted to fight, who was in his prime. Andre Ward was seen up there as a pound for pound best fighter in the world, so it would have been such a great fight, but it never happened for whatever reason. And now we're getting this fight between Canelo and Golovkin at this weight, so interesting to see how Golovkin copes. As we hear the rumours, back in the day he knocked out like Sergey Kovalev in sparring, or dropped him at least, so he's definitely somebody who I think can hang with the bigger guys. It's just whether at his age, whether he can still hang with someone like Canelo, and that would be that would be my my question. I think in the first fight, I think he did enough to win, and I think he got robbed. Second fight, I think he just got beaten to a punch a little bit too much, and I think Canelo really came, and Canelo made a really good adjustment in that second fight of, instead of backing off against Golovkin. Golovkin's seen as the bully in the fight, and instead of Canelo just bowing down to that, what he did, Canelo, was he almost stepped to him and almost became the bully himself and tried to almost use his own tactics against him, and it worked really well for Canelo. It still was very close because ultimately Golovkin is elite, but you know, it was a very, very tough one for both men. So yeah, and I'm excited to see how this one goes, the third time round. So first of all, we'll go with looking at what both men need to do. So first of all, I'm going to start off with Gennady Golovkin. So the first thing that Golovkin needs to do, at his age, there is no point at 40 years old changing what you are, changing who you are as a fighter. To me, just do what you normally do. Just be aggressive in there. I think Golovkin has a very monstrous right hand. He has a little corkscrew punch that he likes to throw. And I think with Canelo, Golovkin's chin is ridiculous. So I feel like in this fight, because Canelo's a hard hitter, but he's not a guy who, like a Golovkin, who if he touches you, it's lights out. I think you can kind of gamble a little bit if you're Golovkin. So I would say, like I said, be very, very aggressive in this fight. Make it hard for Canelo. And really use that aggression, march forward, march him down, walk him down. You know, really, again, just use your size. He's got a very, very long and stiff jab, Golovkin. So to me, using against Canelo really doesn't struggle against guys who are good jabbers, but you see against Caleb Plant had a lot of success with him. That's how Floyd was able to sort of have a lot of success. And even Bivol, to an extent, used it a lot. So, like I said, first point would be aggressive. Second point, in the similar vein, making it rough. Those two fights were great fights because they were literally both men who were willing to, it's more so the second fight than the first, but two men who were really willing to trade, go back and forth and make it a war. That's what you got to do against Canelo, to me. Golovkin can't outbox Canelo because he's not a better boxer than Canelo. He's a better fighter maybe, but to me, these are the things that you can't, to me, really do against Canelo. You can't try and be slick against him. To me, making it rough, not like, a little bit like how Maidana used to fight. Not exactly the same because Golovkin and Maidana are vastly different fighters, but just be very aggressive, be rough. To me, the judges we all know, aren't going to do many favours. It is at Las Vegas again, at the T-Mobile Arena, so I think that will be the one thing that I think will play in Golovkin's mind. And this is why I say, in his mind, he got robbed both times. If you get robbed both times, who's to say they won't do it a third time? This time, I would go for the finish if I was Golovkin. But to me, to do that, you got to be smart. Like I said, be aggressive, make it rough, make it horrible for Canelo, frustrate Canelo in there. You know, anytime Canelo throws, hold on and tie him up and make it so that Canelo can't really have any success. And I think the one thing as well, in terms of getting that finish, the one thing Canelo did a lot in the first fight, but I felt Golovkin didn't do enough. And to me, this would really, I think, give it, because the way Bivol was able to beat Canelo, a lot of Bivol's success happened when he kind of overwhelmed Canelo and got him against the ropes. Golovkin can't overwhelm him, but he can do that. So that's one thing that I would say. Force him against the ropes. You can't do what Bivol did and land those 3, 4, 5, 6 punch combinations as quick as Bivol could do because Bivol was just a younger man. But I think Golovkin, he can have a lot of success there. You know, if you can just land little pot shots to the body, little shots upstairs. I think if you can just constantly land these shots against Canelo against the ropes, they will count for the judges. I think they'll see that and will really push it more in your favour. And I think if you can just make it clear, and that's what Golovkin needs to do in this fight, you have got to stop him or you have to make this stupidly clear. Because let's not get it twisted. It was not, by no means, the second fight a clear win to Canelo at all. It was very, very close. And either way, you could have scored that to Golovkin. So this is why I believe with Golovkin, this fight, don't make it that the judges have a... Don't leave it to the judges, like I say. But you can't fight stupid. But be aggressive, break him down to the body. And if you can get Canelo frustrated, I think you can time him at the right moment and maybe drop him. And really, Canelo's never been on the deck before ever. He's never been dropped. He's been hurt but never dropped. Really just make it rough for Canelo. And I think if you can do that, again, there's no guarantee you'll get a decision, but if you're not going to finish him, if you can't stop him, you have to me, Make this a real obvious fight. Make it rough. Like I said, back Canelo against the ropes. Don't let him march you down. Don't let him try and do what he did last time. And this time, force him back. Be the aggressor. And I think if you do that, I mean, it's those two fights are kind of littered with controversy. You know, obviously, if you do remember, go back a bit, the second fight was supposed to happen a lot earlier, but obviously Canelo got caught for taking the clenbuterol and got a ban for a short while. But then obviously was cleared and the fight went on again. But when you get sort of caught for possibly taking PED steroids, it always hangs over you, and as well as dodgy judging decisions. So to me, I'd hope that this time, whoever is in charge of these things, of the judges, the commission, they wouldn't want a third fight littered in controversy. So to me, this time, I'd hope they don't make the right decision. So if you're Golovkin, you want to make them make that decision. You want to really make it clear. Almost take the decision out of the judges' hands, and I think that's what you got to do. So, yeah, but that's what I would do if I was Gennady Golovkin. And then we go on to the champion, Canelo Alvarez. Now, for Canelo, he came in with a really smart game plan. I think the second time, being aggressive, being the bully. The only thing I'd say about Canelo, though, in the second fight, I think sometimes, again, the issue that I think people had with Canelo was, and why I think people didn't give, some people still think he lost the second fight as well. Canelo has a tendency of almost doing nothing for about 3 to 4 rounds, or even longer. Reason is, he almost tries to set you up with certain shots. He did this in the Caleb Plant fight. He kind of did nothing for a while, and then eventually he'll land something, or he'll kind of slowly break you down. Did the same in the Kovalev fight. And there's so many fights where he does this, Canelo. So in this fight was similar as well. And I think, to me, this time round, in the same sense that Golovkin wants to make it obvious to the judges, I feel like Golovkin's almost fighting to prove to the judges that he can win this fight. And I think Canelo's almost proving to everybody else, the public, that he can win. Because, like I said, a lot of people feel like he lost both fights against Golovkin. It's not something you want as a guy who wants to be known as one of the greats. And so the one thing I would say for Canelo, start off quick in this fight. You're the younger man. You're the, not stronger man, but you're a man who's fought at this weight class enough now. This is your weight class, I think. I don't see Canelo ever going back down to 160. He's very much I think super middleweight is perfect for him, and I think you're the champion as well. Show it, you know. In neither of those fights, I don't think. I know in the second fight, obviously, Gennady had the belts, and I think the same in the first. Canelo's really never been the champion, and coming into these fights, now he is. And Canelo, like I said, Golovkin, a new weight class. You've really got to really show that you are the champion, and that you, again, like I said, show him that this is your weight class, this is your division, and that, I don't know, almost, what I'm trying to say is, insert your authority on the fight. Really show that you are a much better fighter than you were before. I think he's a lot better now, Canelo, than he was when they fought the second time round. And I think, like I said, starting off quick, really jumping on Golovkin, doing what you did last time, but I think doing it with a bit more speed, not like tiring yourself out, but really just showing, like I said, just showing Golovkin that, you know, this ain't, he's here to fight, and he's not here to, this isn't the same guy. And I think doing that, if you can, especially against a 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin, I think you'd really could shock him and catch him by surprise. And this is something that I think he hasn't really done, Canelo, but I think after his second loss in his career, Canelo learnt so much from that first Floyd fight, and I think he would, I'd hope, I'd say the first Floyd fight, the Floyd fight, he never fought him second time, and I hope he would learn a lot from the Bivol fight as well, because I think the Bivol fight showed him that, you know, again, he got tired in that Bivol fight. That's why he backed up against the ropes, and Bivol knew that, and I think that's why he never fell into his traps. And again, Canelo almost has got a little bit, not trigger happy, but he almost, because he's powerful and he's been able to, you know, broker Billy Joe's orbital bone, he was able to stop Caleb Plant in the way he did. I think he, you know, damaged Cam Smith's arms when they fought. Like, he's grew into the weight class well, and I think now, to me, I think what you do here is you you want to show that again, that you are the powerful guy, and I think because he's been hurting all these guys, and he wants to show that he is that guy, that who can knock you out. He almost waits too long in these fights. So to me, like I said, start off quick, be very aggressive in there, and it's the same thing he did the second time. But the second part I'm going to say is bully him on the inside. Like I said, he's fought at this weight class. Golovkin hasn't. He's grown into the weight class. It is his weight class. He's the king of the division. That's where you show what you are. Bully him, force him back, almost do what he did the second time, almost amplify it, really push him back, almost do what Golovkin did to him in the first fight, really show him, like I said, that this is his division and his weight class, and really, again, he's the faster hands, unload the combinations on him, physically bully him on the inside. He won't be able to do it easily. I know he's coming up from middleweight Golovkin, but he's not a small middleweight Golovkin. He's very big for the weight class, so it's not going to be easy. But again, if you can just almost Golovkin, I'm not saying it's going to sound bad, but he's like a bully Golovkin in there. When the bully gets bullied, they don't like it. It's a shock to the system a little bit. That's why I think Canelo had so much success in the first fight. That's why Fury had so much success against Deontay Wilder. When you put it on these guys who are usually used to just beating these guys into submission, almost it almost like I said, it's a shock to the system. They don't know what to do. So if you can do that with Golovkin, and again assert your dominance, he's an old man now, 40 years old. Golovkin, I think now is the time to do it. He's not the young guy he once was. He's still dangerous. He's still very much similar, but again, I feel like now you really have the chance to really to just, like I said, dominate him in this fight. If you can bully him, push him back, almost throw him off his own game plan, I think, again, it's just Canelo's best chance of success in this fight, to again show to maybe everybody that he is the superior fighter. I'm not saying he is, but if he wants to show it, this is what you do. Like I said, you start off quick, jump on him from the get-go, bully him on the inside. And the third point I'm going to make, and I say this, I feel like damn near every boxing preview I say, but this is the one time I think I'm emphasizing it more than anything, right? The old adage when it comes to boxing, actually just when it comes to fighting in general, those who are weak to the chin are traditionally quite strong to the body, and vice versa. If you have a very, very good chin, traditionally your body isn't really as tough. You don't take the shots as well. If you remember, I have to go back a bit here, but when Mickey Ward fought Gennady, I say remember, I don't remember it, but obviously it's one of those classic fights where Gennady had a very solid chin, but Mickey Ward was able to break him down to the body and eventually stop him that way. And if you look at, if you switch sports, you look at a sport like MMA, for example, you look at when Kamaru Usman fought Colby Covington. Colby had a very good chin, but when it comes to the body, he was weak. And it's the same thing with so many other fighters. I said this about Tyson Fury, that I think his body is a bit of a weakness for him. And I think with Golovkin, and I don't know why nobody's ever done it, you aren't going to knock him out. It's like the man's whole head is made out of cement. You're just not going to push him back. You're not going to rock him, get his chin going all over the place. Like, his chin is as solid as they come, Golovkin. Canelo literally, in the first fight, tried to do a rope-a-dope and hit him with the biggest overhand right I've ever seen, and Golovkin just ate it. His chin's ridiculous. But if you can go to the body against him, and Derevianchenko, I feel like, almost set somewhat of a blueprint. Derevianchenko really ripped the body against Golovkin and hurt him to the body. I remember I forgot what round it was, but I remember he hurt Golovkin to the body. Golovkin doesn't move. He's a stationary target. The way Canelo throws those hooks to the body, especially that left hook where he almost fakes to go up and then hits it to the body, is right there. It's, to me, such an easy... I know it's easy for me to say, but for me, it's such an easy thing to do against a guy like Golovkin, but I guess you need a guy to implement it. And Canelo, to me, is one of the very best body punchers in the whole of boxing. So, to me, this is probably my... If I had to list these points, the body work is number one. So, like I said, go to the body. You want to bully him on the inside. You can force him back with your uppercuts and, force him back with your high guard. But then if you can rip those body shots in, if you can get him against the ropes and rip those body shots, I think, and like I said, if you jump on him quick, when it comes to maybe the middle round, like the 6th round, Gennady Golovkin may be looking very, very vulnerable, and that is where maybe you can get your finish and finally set the record straight and show that, you know, you are the superior fighter out of the two. That, you know, this time that you did beat him, you didn't get the judges' help, you didn't get anybody giving you any favours. This time you beat him straight off your own skill and ability, and I think that would be what I say. Like I said with Canelo, body work, bully him on this side and start quick, I think is what Canelo would do. And for Golovkin, like I said, be aggressive, making it rough, and force Canelo back against the ropes. Be the aggressor. And for both of these guys, like I said, they both got something to prove, I feel, to almost to each other, but also to other people. Golovkin, I think, has to prove that he feels he won both fights. So I think there's a chip on his shoulder of trying to show to everybody that he is the better fighter, and showing to the judges especially that I think this time he has to do something to really stand out. And for Canelo, I think he wants to show that to everybody that he's a superior fighter out to. A lot of people have him too down against Golovkin. A lot of people feel like Golovkin won both fights, and so for both guys, you may actually see them both really try to knock each other's head off and go for a finish, because they almost both need a finish in a way. So I'm excited to see how this one goes, though, and an excellent fight with two elite fighters. Now, on my prediction, so in both of the two fights, I predicted Canelo to win simply because I think Canelo is a superior fighter and a superior boxer. And with Golovkin, he's almost your classic come forward, aggressive, big puncher, Eastern European sort of guy. Like, you know, we see with a lot of these guys, but I do think he obviously has a lot to prove. I think he won the first fight. I think the second fight was a draw for me. So he definitely has something with Canelo where Canelo struggles against him. And I think with Golovkin, the way that he is, you almost can't move him. And I think that's the reason why. With Canelo, I think guys almost fold against Canelo, but Golovkin never did. Golovkin was just straight there, back, always coming, constantly. He was backing Canelo up in the first fight, wasn't moving in the second fight. Like, Golovkin is a very hard fight for Canelo. However, he's 40 years old, Gennady Golovkin. He isn't the same fighter he was. He's coming up a weight class. And with Canelo losing that fight against Bivol, I think he's going to come back with a vengeance and a real determination and still in this fight. And I think what will happen, I think he will do what I said. I think he will go to the body. I think he will try and be a bit more aggressive this one, Canelo Alvarez. I think he'll try and stop him this time. And if you remember the first fight, Gennady Golovkin had some real issues with like his face looked a mess after the fight. And I think I can see this same thing sort of happening. I can see this being potentially a bit of a Floyd Mayweather, a Toro Gatti situation where the younger fighter, he's not that young, Canelo, he's obviously in his prime, but the younger fighter, the fighter who's on the top at the moment, beating the older fighter into almost submission. So this is going to sound a bit of a crazy one. I think it will be a 9th to 10th round sort of stoppage for Canelo Alvarez, and I think it will be either the doctor stops it or maybe the corner stops it or something. I don't think he'll knock Gennady Golovkin out cold unless he catches him with a wicked body shot. If you can catch him with that, then I could see him easily definitely dropping Golovkin. But yeah, I do think Canelo gets it done. I think Golovkin's a great fighter, an elite fighter, and a shame that everybody just ducked him for so long. But, you know, at this point in his career, it's a hard fight against Canelo, especially coming up a weight class. And for Canelo, I think he will go out there and try and prove a point. And yeah, I do think he will get it done. But regardless, it's a great fight, an exciting fight for everybody. It's been a while since we've had a big fight like this in boxing. So yeah, just my quick preview for the Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez trilogy fight. I'll do a review of the fight when it's done. And yeah, until next time.